Hey, it's Jazz. Welcome back to Alternative Smallholding, and this is our April, but in May, but actually our April plot tours. We're actually going to do it. We are getting rained off and on and off and on, so we may have to keep dashing into the greenhouse. But let's start on the new plot, and then we'll go up and then down the old plot. It's a new plot. Not a whole lot's happened, to be honest. There are 3 rows of potatoes in so far. The potatoes are planted in the dip, so 1, 2, 3. We didn't manage to get all of the dandelions out before we did it, but life's too short to worry about dandelions. As long as I pick off the flower heads of them, the potatoes are going to overshadow them soon anyway, so I'm not too concerned. Over this side, we have just got stuff stacked up the greenhouse. We have covered part of it because that is the top of the greenhouse. So the theory is, if we can paint the top parts of the greenhouse wood before we put it up, then once it's up we can paint the sides easily, but it means we can get it up quicker. So this and this are the strawberry beds, and to be honest, what I am going to do is I am just going to dig this out in the next couple of days, and I'm actually going to take the plastic off this, and I am just going to put all of the tomato plants, all of the strawberry plants that were from the trough, I am just going to put them into this bed here, because to be honest, they're really crowded in that trough, and even though this is probably too small for them, it's got to be better than what they're in right now. So these were the strawberry plants that I'm talking about, and they desperately need transplanting now. The pond is just being covered up at the moment. There are all sorts of poppies and feverfew and lemon balm growing around it, as well as plenty of weeds too. Lovely lemon balm. It smells so beautiful. So we are standing at the pond now, looking down at the 3 potato rows. We will put another row of potatoes in, and then there'll be the pathway, and then there'll be 4 rows on this side of main crop potatoes too. I was really pleased to see in Terry's video that he hasn't got his main crop potatoes in yet either, so I'm not that far behind. We've put out the base here, and we just walk backwards so you can see. That base is the Alton greenhouse that we brought back that we're going to paint. So it actually looks massive when you put it on this plot, whereas on the other plot it didn't look that big at all. So that is going to be really good. I think I can get, see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I counted I can get like between 12 and 15 tomatoes in there, and maybe a couple of cucumbers. We'll see how many I get in there. I don't want to overcrowd it, because then you get like moisture build up and humidity, and you get fungal things like blight, so won't overcrowd it, but I will get in there as many as I can. This top corner of the plot now has been turned into compost, so we've got I think both of these compost Daleks are now full of leaf mould, and we've got that box that had leaf mould in, and then just general wood storage box. We've got this bed, which is the comfrey, raspberries, strawberries and rhubarb. That's it for this plot. There's really not that much going on here at the moment. So that's the half plot, which is mostly greenhouse, potatoes and pond. Part of me thought there's no point in filming this video because it's now May, and I'll do another one in May anyway, but then there's so much that's going to change this month, because there'll be planting, there'll be changes, there's just, what was it Vivi said the other day, May Madness? May Madness is about to happen. It is about to occur. So I am recording it because this is April, honestly. Forgive me for the 2 days difference. So we're now at the very back of the main plot. 125 foot long, 25 foot wide. 125 long, 25 wide. I don't know. It's big. Rue's corner, her and her friend. Look at what they've been doing actually. They've been sieving soil. I haven't quite found out what they're doing it for, but I may steal it. Or set them about a job that I need something sieving, and they'll get on with it happily. This is the shed waiting to be put up. The table and basically everything else. basically is a no change. So let's just not look at this. We're definitely concentrating at the moment on areas that need cultivating for plants. I've actually said to the bearded dude, if this polytunnel doesn't go up this year, in terms of like with the plastic on, I am not worried about it. I would rather just have the ground, maybe put the frame up, but other than that, just not worry about it, and then just plant. I know that having the polytunnel would be ideal, but it just seems that, you know, why put ourselves under that much pressure? We don't have the time. Bearded dude's job's changed. He doesn't get as much time here with us now as he used to, and I can't do it by myself. Well, I don't even know what his plans are. The plans are all in his head. So yeah. So if it doesn't go up this year, we'll probably just put the frame up. I've told him not to pressure himself about it. It's not worth it. This isn't a chore. This is supposed to be fun, guys. If it ever becomes a chore, it's kind of lost the point of it, isn't it? So anyway, down here, we are at the first lot of raised beds, and mint has come back. Any plants that I planted in here have been slugged, but here is the asparagus bed, and there is the bag of compost that I dumped there yesterday because I didn't have the energy to move it. And here you will be pleased to see that I have really soaked this ground, and then I covered it in a couple of inches of organic compost. It's just a Super Grow organic garden compost. Never used it before, but it seems okay. And the asparagus are doing okay. They are poking through in places. I'm hoping now that this means that the asparagus, 1, will be protected, 2, the ground will be a bit softer so those spears can push through, and 3, it gives them a bit of a feed. Now these crowns have been in for a number of years. They're not new. I forgot to say that in my video the other day. They're not new crowns. They have been in for a while. It's just when the plot owner gave this plot up last October, they dug up a few of them to take with them, and this is what was left. Now I didn't really know if there was anything left in there because I couldn't see anything that was growing, but we do have some spears coming through, so I'm quite pleased about it. But I did want to make sure that what was there was actually going to survive, because I adore asparagus and the ground was just terrible. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make sure that this ground stays happy and moist and fed, and then once the asparagus have finished cropping, I'm going to give it a deeper mulch and make sure that it is nice and moist and looked after over the summer, autumn, winter, and then hopefully next year we'll get an even better crop. No change with this bed, still just leaves. No change with this bed. This is going to be the courgette and tomato bed, and I think this is going to be tomatoes as well. What I'm actually thinking of doing is these trellises, putting them at the back of these beds here and doing cucumbers up them, to give some kind of vertical growing space, and anywhere I can utilise space better rather than using like a full bed, because usually I'd use the A-frames that I had on top of the pond over there, but they take up a lot of space. A lot of floor space, like square footage, whereas using vertical gardening with the trellis like that will mean that it's just literally the space that it's planted in the ground that it's taking up. So I think that would be a better idea. This is where we are now, and these are the carrot beds. These ones have just been sown and I can't see anything coming up from them yet, but these are the ones that me and Rue did. These are our competition ones, and I have thinned them out, don't worry, because they was quite congested, wasn't they? I have thinned them out and they're doing really well. And I did sow another row and nothing's coming up yet. But I'm quite pleased with those. I'm feeling quite excited this year. I feel like we may finally crack the growing enough food of what we need to eat. One of our goals of 2019, if you remember, was to grow more of what we eat rather than just growing things to experiment. So we've tailored things down, we've grown varieties that we like rather than keeping on testing new ones, although there's still a lot of testing going on because it's me and that's what I like to do. But I feel like, you know, we're having success with carrots. That's never happened. That's not just because Rue's sowing them, by the way. I will show you when I do a tour of seedlings and what's growing at home. I have had some success too. So yeah, you have the carrots, potatoes are doing well, loads of tomatoes, loads of cucumbers, squash are doing well. It just feels like everything's doing well so far, including the garlic. So let me show you those. Will you look at these garlic? I think there's somewhere around 60 in here. They do have a little bit of yellow tips. I do want to give them a mulch, and I'm going to give them a feed of chicken manure pellets in the next day or so, but I think they're doing really well, and I've checked down and the bulbs are starting to form nicely. I think they may be the best garlic crop that we've ever had, providing they come out okay. We've always found that the allium moth doesn't bother garlic as much as it bothers leeks and onions, so hopefully the scaffold netting, the way that it's put on, hopefully that will mean that they're safe. The sky is going really black, so I've got to get a wiggle on with this talk, because otherwise we are going to get very, very wet. So here's the shallots. They have separated out. If you plant a shallot, then they separate out. Unlike an onion, they will give you several different bulbs from that one bulb that you plant. So say for instance this one has given us 4. They look okay, and no, I haven't protected them against the allium moth, and I'm not actually quite sure why, but they're doing okay otherwise. The chard is starting to go to flower, and we'll probably take those out and give them to the chickens soon. Tomato bed is just waiting to be planted up, or one of the tomato beds. Let's face it, there's going to be quite a few of those, isn't there, with what was it, how many tomatoes? 120? However many happen to make it here. Let's not put a number on it. And the rhubarb is continuing to be gigantic. These leaves are just... it's hard to show you and get my camera back. They are massive, absolutely massive. The blueberries have flowers, but I've still not weeded this area and got them into the ground, so we will actually have a few blueberries this year. And the currants are all forming beautifully on this big currant bush too. And they are forming on the ones that we transplanted as well, so it's good to see that they are actually going to fruit this year. And the raspberry bed that we planted looks like it's going to fruit too. Raspberry bed needs weeding. That's the second bed that needs weeding. I mean, there's weeds need removing everywhere, but this is especially needs weeding. And the herb bed, the woad, can we just take a moment to look at the beauty of these woad flowers? And they smell gorgeous too. They're just, do you know what they smell of? They smell of honey and sunshine and smiles. Honey, sunshine and smiles, that's what it smells like. If you've never, if you ever get the chance to grow woad, even if you're not going to use it for dyeing, I would absolutely recommend that you grow it just for the flowers and the scent. It's just so beautiful. Oh, you okay? You sure? This is wormwood, which is really soft. You know, Jess visited a garden centre the other day and she was talking about how soft wormwood was. And I was like, it's not that soft, is it? I came over to feel it today. I was like, oh, it is, it's lovely, really soft. So it's wormwood. The lavender is coming back nicely, considering it was just a rescued scraggy stick that we got. There is lots of forget-me-nots in here. There's some speedwell, which is not particularly welcome, but not terrible. This is soapwort, so that is hopefully going to be for us making our own like laundry soap at some point. The thyme has come back really well. Or is that the oregano? That's the oregano, sorry. That's come back really, really well. I'm pleased with that because I did think that the chickens had basically destroyed it. And the feverfew looks lovely too. What else do we have in here? Here we go, that's the thyme. The back of it definitely looks like it's past its best, but it's a really old bush. I'm surprised it's keep going. The centura are beautiful. There's oh, what are you? What are you? I will put it on the screen. I can't remember. There's foxglove and oh, I can't remember you either. Is there a label here? No, that's not you. These are the Centura knapweed flowers. Very beautiful. The hydrangeas that we planted, they don't look great. They look like they haven't survived. And rosemary looks good. It's starting to fill out. It needs weeding, but it looks good. Something else that looks good are those broad beans. At this end of the bed, we're going to start planting brassicas in soon, and these broad beans are amazing. I don't think we've ever had such success. Even with, like, we've never planted a load of them before, but even the ones that we did plant have never been this good. So really happy with these. Each one of these beautiful flowers is going to be a pod of luscious beans. Something that I always say to people is give broad beans a go, give them a little space, and I think I've probably said it many times to you before, but give them a go, because homegrown broad beans, if you pick them small enough, not like really big fat beans, pick them small and they are so delicious and beautiful. Give them a little try, try 4 or 5 plants. You see them in the garden centre, maybe reduced or something, just put them in a corner of your garden. Try them. Homegrown broad beans are nothing like the ones that you buy in the shop, I promise you. This end of this bed is just waiting to be cleared out really. I am letting things go to flower because I don't need this just yet. So the bees and insects, the little bugs, are enjoying all of these flowers, and then when things stop flowering, we take the plants out and they go to the chickens. So this is all of the currants. The currants, I think it's going to be a good fruit year, guys. And look at all of these flowers. Look at them all. Fruits are forming lovely. Different types, different flowers. The apple tree is just, it's blowing me away. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. And this one doesn't have as many on. And my one has finished flowering. My one's an early variety. Yeah, that apple is just so beautiful. And then we come to here and our onions. Now our onions are doing really well. They are starting to bulb up now. You can see them going a bit fatter around the base. Some of them are laying sideways because I never straighten them up after the fox had played with them. But they are doing really well, and they're going to get a feed of chicken manure like the garlic as well. Hopefully this Enviromesh will do the job of keeping away the allium moth. But time will tell. And then this, which has got the bean frame on at the moment, that's been manured and prepared, and that is all for tomatoes as well. So now we're at the main growing space of this plot, which is basically the big 4 beds with the greenhouse and the compost bays at the bottom. So this side is all going to be dwarf beans, so this whole bed, which I think is about 11 foot by 13 feet. This side so far, here comes the rain. These down here, there's a row of radishes in there, a row of lettuce and spring onions at the end. These are my lettuce. The lettuce are just covered to keep the pigeons off. And these are beetroot. Beetroot seedlings coming up here too. And these are the chard that we transplanted. There's a few extra lettuce in this end with the turnips, and they're the purple bok choy. So that's the salad bed. This bed here will be all chickpeas, and then this bed here is where the sweet corn and squash are going, so that's 115 sweet corn. Although I imagine out of that we'll probably get about 90 germinated maybe. I'm just going to hurry up this last bit because I don't want the camera to get too wet. This cage we brought over just to cover up the brassicas from the pigeons, and we've got some sprouts, white cabbages, and then I think they are scarlet kale over the back there. There's a number of those each. 3 pots of potatoes. They're the experiment potatoes, and they're new ones that we've done. These are some of the tomatoes that Rue is growing to sell on in the cold frame that Bearded Dude built for me. So I had the glass, and he's built me a base so that I can take the glass off and have it just on the floor, or I can put it on the base if I want to grow some taller plants in there. So it's essentially a mini greenhouse. There's the cold frame that we're painting, and before we go, let me just show you this, because I don't think I showed you the other day. We put the thing in. I did show you the other day, didn't I? But yes, we have tadpoles in the tiny pond. What I want to do now in this area down here by the pond is I want to make that more wildlife friendly. I want to do some little bug hideouts, and I want to, I'm rushing for the greenhouse now, this rain's getting heavy, and I want to put some lovely flowers around it. Let's go in, quick! She's still playing, she's not bothered at all. So this greenhouse is full now, it's full to the brim. Let me just clean my glasses off. This rain on my glasses drives me nuts. I hope the screen isn't blurry, I just have to wipe off some raindrops, I'm sorry. The highest it went in here yesterday was 34. The highest today so far has been 22, and last night the lowest it went to was 5.8. As says my trusty thermometer from Cheryl at Homestead in the Highlands, who is awesome. Tomorrow it is Friday and Saturday night and possibly Sunday night. It's due to get down to 0, maybe lower. So I will be fleecing everything in here, and Rue's tomatoes too. And we've got preparations at home to bring things in the house that have just been outside. They're perfectly well hardened off, but not hardened off down to like frost levels. But I'm hoping that after that, that is going to be winter's last breath. And from there we can go out and grow all the things and plant all the things and get on with doing all the things. But right now everything in here needs protecting, so I'll show you what we've got in here. Look at her, she's got a waterproof coat on and just swinging in the rain, and it's not light rain either, it's quite heavy. But anyway, these are the second lot of tomatoes that we potted on, so they're a bit smaller than the rest. They are doing lovely now. Oh, the smell, the smell. And again, some of them are starting to get little flower buds. Which are you? Bud Canovia. So I am keeping an eye on them all now, because some are trying to go to flower, and I don't want them to do that. Remember guys, roots not fruits. So we are, see here, careful not to pinch the top of the plant out, because then the plant won't grow anymore. But if you just pinch off those little flower buds, then it will put its energy into growing more. And I want them to just last just another week or so before I can put them out. Yeah, there's some more here too. And then I'll let them get on with what they want to do. So these are the 2 lots, well, and here and here. So there's 4 trays of ones that we grew initially and brought over. So they're our main tomatoes. Now 3 trays here of sweet corn, which me and Rue sown yesterday. Down in the corner, I wonder if I can grab these without damaging anything. So these are broccoli rabe. They are doing nicely. They're actually going to be planted out this weekend. I think they look lovely. Never tried them before, but apparently it's the roots. See the roots coming out the bottom? They need to get out. So these are our red cabbages, and celeriac are looking good. They're actually starting to get a bit wider around the bottom. Somebody asked me why their celeriac leaves going yellow. They planted them outside. The only thing I can think is that it's just still too cold for them, or they need a feed. All the advice that I've seen is planting celeriac out in mid to late May or June even, because they don't like cold and wet. So it may be that. I can't remember what your name is, sorry, but I don't have a lot of experience of growing celeriac, so if anybody can give any advice as to why celeriac would go yellow leaved once planted outside, the only thing I can think is too cold, too wet, and or not enough food. So that's just general plant elimination process. But somebody else may know more. More toms and some salad leaves down there. all the tomatoes. Some pak choi. These are curry squash, but they've not come up yet. Some more lettuces, and then I've got some dichigoa squash, some spaghetti squash, and some butternut squash. These are my festival zinnias. These, I'm pretty sure you're not what you're supposed to be. These are the sunflowers for the sunflower challenge. And I've got some amaranth. Bonjour. Stop raining. So quickly, that means I can show you the last bit outside. So here on the potting bench we have some dichigoa beetroots and some Egyptian Crosby beetroots. These are some leeks. I've just given a pot of spring onions away to a friend who just came and had a tour at the allotment. Mummy, it's nice to show her around, wasn't it?
Mummy, why do you have feathers in an Egyptian one?
The feathers, because I found the feathers and I like feathers, so I've kept them. So these are Rue's onions that Rue grew, aren't they? Hold your onions. You want to plant them soon? I think she wants to plant those soon. Put it back. Nice pot of leeks, second sowing of leeks. The mint's doing well. So the rest of the chard that I never did anything with after that video after all. And sweet peas that are desperate to be potted out. You're soaked. You happy? But you happy?
I'm happy as a heart and a soul.
So there you go, she's happy as a heart and a soul. So that there. We still haven't finished it, have we? The bean arch will be finished hopefully this weekend. It's bank holiday weekend here in the UK, which means BDD gets 3 days off work, which is a bonus. Hopefully he doesn't come down with the bug that we both had. And by the way, thank you guys for all of your well wishes. We were fine. It was a sickness bug, but it was over quite quickly. So as you can see, we're both fine now. So hopefully BDD doesn't get it, and that won't scupper our plans this weekend. Is there anything else? Flower bed.
I'm having fun.
So here is the flower bed and a Rue. Can you see how many poppy seeds have come up? Absolutely thousands. Can you see all those tiny little dots of green? This year we will have poppies, and we will have many poppies, won't we?
Yeah.
All the poppies. But we also have our Dianthus Sweet Williams. We have some Ami Majors planted, some Cerynthine. These are Achillea. And some calendula down there. Do you want to take your coat off, baby? Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, it will fill out, and then the back part of it, I'm going to put the sweet peas at this end here on a trellis so that I can pick them, and then the back of it will have sunflowers up, so that when you look through the gate of the allotment you can see the lovely sunflowers, and also it will cast a little bit of shade on the greenhouse and privacy also, which is good, isn't it?
Yeah!
So we are done with our April in May, but actually honestly it's an April plot tour. We've been rained off, I'm a bit soaked, Rue is very soaked, and we are about to get off home now. And thank you for joining us. If there's any questions about anything that we've been doing here, or anything that we plan to do, or you've got any advice or tips for us, please do let us know in the comments below. And if you haven't subscribed to us yet, please do consider it, because we have lots of new videos coming up soon. So take care, enjoy your bank holiday Monday, and can you see I've been literally ran around in circles here? Gardening with kids. It's great fun. See you soon. Take care. Grow all the things. Bye bye.
Grow all the things.
Grow all the things.
Bye.
Bye.